fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome back, Star Trek Fleet Command fans. Today's video, I want to do a couple things. One, I want to be informative and talk to y'all about where event store currency currently stands. And two, I really want to ask for you to intercede for your fellow players. Now, that might sound a little bit weird because, well, that's my job, right? Well, it is. But with your help, hopefully we can actually get some action taken. The biggest issue that I want to raise up is actually for our lower level players out there in the game. And while, yes, G4 has become the highest populated section of players in the game, still there's a lot of players below G4. How many players, you might ask? Well, from level 39 below, there are over 130,000 active players in the game right now. That's in G2 and G3. And of that, about 10,000 are locked at level 39 or below, as in they could not ascend if they wanted to. That's important information, so keep that kind of like in your back pocket for when we get into what we're going to discuss. Let's go over where currency is right now. So for you players that are above level 40, rejoice, because you've actually had a decent run. When I say decent, I mean decent. Q-Snap. So here's where free-to-play players are right now if you're above level 40 on this side. Now, I've edited this to also include where players are below level 40. You can see in that top right corner up there, as well as the events that are in bold. Those will apply to sub-level 40. Now, number one, you can see why I'm raising this video here and asking for players to join me in action because, well, there's a lot less bold than there is anything else. And as far as what players are earning, let's talk about that before we get into like the nitty-gritty of why I'm having a little bit of a Rev Rant and a gripe. So where we're at now, halfway, we're at the 50% mark of the event store for February 2025, and we're looking at around 200,000 event store currency for pure free-to-play. That is doing nothing else. That's no AMSs, that's no heroics, that's no SLBs, ALBs, none of that. Just pure points from gifts, battle pass, SMS, etc. So that means that if we multiplied by 2, in theory, not giving y'all that is the definite amount that's going to happen, that means level 40 and above free-to-play players should maybe, possibly end up with around 400,000 currency earned. Why is this important? Why does that number matter? Because to me, that's the magic number. And when I say magic number, I refer to this sheet right here. Here's what it was historically. You see, we creeped up, and you see, we had a low in the beginning of 318,000, but we basically averaged, ignoring the amazing Christmas that was DS9, have averaged around 400,000 for free to play until here. And then in 2024, the bottom fell out and currency simply evaporated. Now, there are a couple of reasons we've discussed as to why. Number one being they started including materials in those months as well as currency. So the value was the same. Remember, how they value things is very different than how we value things. Now, we saw at the end of the year it start to increase, and we are currently on pace to get back to around that number. Better than the past two event stores, so that is good. Again, for our level 40 and above players. And we've seen a new event drop today, if you're watching this video as the day that it comes out, with this Twisted Nature, which is going to have a meta SMS that is nice for you helping you to get suitor shards, but also a very nice 36,000 event store currency. And we do appreciate more being more, and I'm thankful that this is available to lower level accounts, this being, of course, my level 28 account over on server 710 as I'm grinding through those events. But let's go over what is not too bueno about this process. And you can tell that there is a methodology to Scopely, and that's kind of what I want to speak out against. I've said this before. The way that Scopely wants players to play their game is not how players play their game. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just put it this way. It's no coinky-dink that lower level players don't have as many events that pay out currency. It's not a mistake. It's not a, oops, I forgot. It's a, this is how it is. And again, I'm not trying to use inflammatory language or be mean or frustrated, but we know what Scopely has been saying for a very long time. They want players to level up. And this brings me back to those numbers that I pointed to you just a little bit ago. And again, if you're ever curious about these numbers and you want to know, everything that I do is open to the public. So we use STFC statistics. We crack and track every event, every player. And one of the new things that we're working on now is could actually track player growth to see how much people are actually progressing. And that panned out because of the meta event that came out for the 28 days and all the other stuff that they had for that big domination event that we didn't necessarily agree on, but it did give us, hey, we should probably start looking into that because if Scopely finds it valuable, and we should too. So what do these numbers tell us? Well, the numbers tell us, as I told you, that there are over 130,000 active players below level 40. For those curious what the numbers are for above level 40, well, G4 players, there are currently about 68,000, so close to being 69,000 G4 players, about 29,000 G5 players, and 11,000 G6, with less than 600 level 70s in the entire world. So the game wants players to go up to level 40 and above. And you can tell that. The new content, again, I'm not saying anything crazy. If you didn't know all this, well, that's fine. But you can tell by the events and the things they literally say in their videos, in their news posts, they want players to level up. They're making content for 40 and above. And soon it's going to be mid 40s and above, because they're not going to keep making content for level 40 and 42 forever either. You're going to see that start to progress as well. But here's the catch. They say that, and yet one of the greatest things that we've had for years as a catching mechanic, this right here, the event store, they're giving less to lower levels. And I really want to kind of harp on the fact that 10% of those players could not level up if they wanted to. Server 710, server 711, server 202. They're not ascended. They can't go up if they wanted to. 714. There are servers that even if they wanted to get to this mythical land, the opportunity is not presented to them. And if they wanted to do that, well, what do they need? They need their specialty ships. They need their currencies, except, all the things that the event store can provide if they were given more currency. Scopely seems to have this idea that if we withhold things, that will make people level up. But that's counterintuitive to how gamers play their game and other games. What proof do I have of that statement? Okay, well, the numbers that I just shared with you. How many players are in G4 today? About 70,000. How long has G4 been out? 4 years, right? And in 4 years, you've only got 11,000 players in G6 and another 29,000 in G5, right? So quick math, that's 40,000 players have progressed past content that came out 4 years ago. Now, is this content creators to blame? No, I don't think Rev and DJ and Lube or any of us are to blame. Our voices are not that loud. As proud as I am to be a content creator for this game and for you, the community, I'm not that big. I can't control all the players leveling up or not. But what we can see through trends and what players do is the players move a heck of a lot slower than Scopely wants them to because of all the forced bottlenecks in the game. And those bottlenecks a lot of times are things like specialty ships and currencies that you normally would not be able to grab unless you take time, because players intuitively want to get all the things in their game. They do not want to skip everything. Now, I have been screaming, ignore FOMO, have fun, don't do what you don't want for years. But again, this speaks to the limited influence a content creator can have. I can say those things all day long, but what ends up being true? Players want to do the content. They want to do the Mantis loop. They want to get the Mantis. They want to get the Titan. They want to get the Cerritos. They want to get the Vidar. They want to get the Voyager. They even get the Sarcos and the Amalgams and all these different things in the 30s that slows them down. And without Scopely giving the materials needed to attain those in a more expeditious manner, they stay lower leveled. Again, over 130,000 players below level 40, and about 10% of them couldn't go above, which means 90% of them could. And they don't. Why? They need more stuff. So it doesn't make sense. It's not logical to withhold currency under the threat of leveling up. All you're doing, Scopely, is making your problem worse. Give them the currency. There's no reason that lower level players should get half of what higher level players are if your goal is truly to get these players to level up. If anything, it should be the opposite. You should get more currency at level 35 than at 55 so that you can catch up and move. Am I crazy here? Truly, I know I'm getting emphatic and I'm getting very animated, but am I crazy? Like, is the logic they're using not counterproductive? We want people to move up to get into the content, and we're not going to give them events or stuff to get into the content. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I think there's a reason that 70,000 players are still in G4 and not in G5, and definitely not in G6. There's a reason that there are so many players sitting sub 40 who've been playing the game 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Scopely, you have to be more rewarding with the economy. And if the goal truly is to get players up into the content that they want to participate in, then you need to be more liberal, more open, more generous, not withholding. That's just simply not how things are going to work. And the numbers back that up. It's not just the content creator's opinion. I don't have control over when people level up. But I can tell you this, I can observe that they don't. I can observe that they sit around and they go, well, dang it, what am I going to do? I can observe that if I go here and look at level 39s, we've got an amazing, astounding, almost 7,000 people still sitting there. And remember, not that many are forced to sit there. They're not forced. A lot of them are there because they have to be. Scopely, be more giving with your currencies. You want players to level up? I want players to level up too. I encourage that. I fight for ascensions. I try to make these things happen. And I don't think that players should spend 6-8 months just sitting at level 39. But this is what happens is when players can't get what they need, they cannot achieve the content that's available to them, they sit and they work on that content until they do. Scopely, you want people to level up? Give 500, 600,000 event store currencies that everybody has Meridians, Titans, Baldors, etc. Let them move. Or continue to sit there and give 200,000 currency, have an angry player base, and still have players who don't level up. Let me know what you think if you're watching this video. Do you agree, disagree? Do you understand their methodology? I could very well be wrong. Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Live long and plunder. Stay safe in the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. It's my hope that videos like this will induce change with Scopely, and that only happens when people like you support. So, great appreciation. We'll see you on the next video. I'm out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.